It's happening, Matt.
What is that?
The Creed tour. It's happening.
Oh God.
So excited.
You you're the absolute worst. Just the worst. You're really that excited for Creed?
I'm very excited for Creed.
That's really disappointing.
Whatever.
Silvertide signed with some sort of promotions group. Apparently, they're going back out on the road next year
Oh, really?
from the partially relevant 20 years ago files.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They only have the one album, right?
yeah. They only did one album, and then I guess things fell apart when they were working on the second album. So
Well, good. Hopefully they can get out there and make some noise this time.
maybe they'll open for Creed.
No, it's either the Detroit show is Three Doors Down and Finger 11.
It just keeps getting better, doesn't it?
No, it's really cool though because it's at Pine Knob. It's the show's at Pine Knob, and that's like when I saw Creed in high school. I've told the story before, but when I saw Creed in high school, Three Doors Down was supposed to open, because that was like there when Kryptonite just broke, and so they were opening for Creed on that tour, and then Creed had to postpone the date, and Three Doors Down couldn't make the makeup date, so I didn't get to see him that time, and so be kind of a nice little. It's like so if things turn out the way they turned out for you and the Huntington Center for wrestling, something terrible will happen and the show won't, and either Three Doors Down can't make the show or something, but
Right, right.
we'll see.
I had free tickets one time to go see Three Doors Down at MIS, like 15 minutes from my house, and I decided it was more prudent to stay home and play NCAA football that night.
Fair.
I still feel that way now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you. Yeah, I can't say I blame you. I probably would have went to the concert, but yeah, I understand your headspace there. So
I If I sat here, I could name five Three Doors Down songs if I had to.
there,
I can name Kryptonite. Uh, the one about I'd have to think for a second about that's basically the letter from a soldier. Um,
oh, okay,
See,
yeah,
I don't even know the name of it.
yeah.
I really couldn't if I had to, and they
That's
were so popular for a few years there.
their first two albums are excellent. Um, I was so I obviously I had their first one, and that's got Kryptonite on it. Loser's a good song. Duck and Run, that's a really great song off that first record. And then their second album was
So far away, that's the song, right? Right?
maybe, I don't know. Like I said, after the first three albums, like I got their third album, and after that I fell off. Like I didn't even
Ah,
um but anyways, their second album, Away from the Sun, I remember driving to Kmart to buy it because this was like the first CD that came out after I got my license. So I'm like, I can't wait. I gotta go buy this. And so yeah, I drove to Kmart. This is pre-working at Kmart. I drove to Kmart and bought that album, and that was also right around the time I first started playing bass. So I spent a lot of time learning all the bass parts on that album. So yeah, good stuff. But
I didn't realize you liked Three Doors Down that much.
like I said, those first two albums kick ass. There's a lot of good stuff on that. We did oh crap, what was that? What's the name of the song? Here Without You. We played that song in the band. Um that was one of our big slow songs we played when we were tearing it up at the Eagles once a month.
Yeah, I remember going to a few of those shows.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's another edition of KMWP 2.0, and I'm gonna get to yell at you today, and I can't wait.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I've been fired up for like 3 days about this
Oh,
trade
good.
deadline stuff, and I just
okay.
I need
So
to
we're
get
gonna
it
have
out.
it out tonight.
We're gonna have
okay,
it out.
good.
We're gonna have it
Good
out.
thing my kids aren't trying to sleep. All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. First, we're gonna talk a little wrestling. We're gonna save that. That's gonna be the main event. So stick around for if you want to see Matt and I yell at each other.
And much like Dynamite last night, it'll be a major disappointment to those of you who do stick around.
Yeah, I didn't get around to finishing Dynamite.
Oh, there you
Shucks. Hey, Kenny and MJF was good last Saturday though.
Yeah, I mean, incredible match, and quite literally an all-time TV world title match. There's only going to be a handful that you could possibly put in that category. It was excellent. It was so good. Would have been great if we'd had a little more build-up, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That was the, like everything, that was the big discourse online about whether they did enough or not enough, and I guess I kind of just came down in the middle on it, where it's like maybe they could have done a little bit more, but I don't know. I thought it made sense. Kenny wanted to defend his record reign, so to speak. So, the only thing that was weird about it was that the fact that they were having a title match without a title.
Well, I mean that plays into things we've talked about for a few weeks now, of just like little things that I don't think they pick up on that stand out, and that's a perfect example.
And then you have this match last night where MJF is supposed to get the belt back, and then he doesn't. Again, I didn't see the end. I just kind of scrolling through the timeline and seeing, so he didn't get the Triple B back. So we're right, like what?
The whole night made no sense. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it's a really crappy way of doing it. Like, the whole night is him trying to figure out who he can ask to, and he just ends up with the group that everyone wanted him to end up with in the first place.
Yeah.
And like the last segment before the match, he gets a bag where he gets gear to dress up like the Acclaim. Like, he had all that time to get rid. Like, it just, if you'd done that last week where MJF has agreed to have the Acclaimed as his tag partners, blah, 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 then you could have built up through the night of like him trying to put, like, it's really important for me to get the Triple B, blah, blah, blah. Like, they could have done more than just waste 3 weeks of will he, won't he, and then the entire night of who's he going to get. He just ends up with the people that originally asked to be his partner. Great. Like, thanks for the waste of time.
Right. Well, it's so weird too, because they're excuse me, they were playing off Twitter like they normally do with this whole Max and Max thing. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to lean into Twitter when it comes to that, but we're not going to pay attention to Twitter when it comes to this 75-year-old man we just brought in. More on that later. But it's just, there's just picking and choosing. They finally address, like, hey, the Elite haven't really been cohesive since they got back together. Like, I saw that clip online this morning of the Bucks in the locker room with Kenny and Jericho, and them being like, what the hell is this asshole doing in here? And so I don't like, again, they have a tag team title shot just waiting, and no follow-up, no idea when that's gonna take place. there's just I feel I really wasn't gonna go into the AEW too much today. There was I mean there's one thing with the Flair thing I was gonna talk about. Just because it kind of it doesn't really relate to my everyday life, but it kind of does because it's revolves around the industry I'm in. So I kind of thought it was interesting. But it's just I feel like we're at this point we're just beating a dead horse with them. Where it's like, yeah, they could be doing a whole lot better with their cohesion and their story. It just a lot of like, Willow getting a title shot after losing a number one contenders match like 2 weeks ago or what, like, just a bunch of stuff that people, bitch about WWE doing in the past, and they're like just doing the exact same thing. Like this is a lot of this stuff is just 2019, 2020, 2021 WWE, where it's just the old man was just like, whatever, that doesn't matter. This is what we're doing this week.
Yeah. Well, and look, I made the joke a couple weeks ago, like, they were building Brian up, and I'm like, great. When's he gonna get out? When's he gonna be out again? And here we are, right back at it. Big star, not available. Okay.
At least he waited till after we saw him.
Well, he got hurt after we saw it. Oh, I get what you're. Yeah, I
get
what you're saying. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know. I saw someone make. They refer to AEW as the show now, where when they see the match graphic that comes up every week, if they see one that piques their interest, they'll watch it. They'll watch for that, and that's it. Because the rest of the show is not. It's not worth watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
And now they're. Well, I'll let you get into the Flair stuff to make that point. If you have anything else you want to say.
Yeah. So Fightful Select reported today that they signed Flair. Everyone just assumed Flair was just going to be here for the few months until Sting retires. Nope, this is a multi-year deal with Ric Flair, and it's all about his energy drink. Ric Flair has an energy drink, ladies and gentlemen. So far, my company has not elected to pick it up. I'm hoping it stays that way. But the comparison that was made was this is reminiscent. Although like Slim Jim wasn't Macho Man's company, so that part doesn't like add up. But it's basically like whoever is whatever the company is that actually makes the energy drink or whatever is paying AEW. Basically, what Flair's getting paid is getting paid for by whatever company Flair is in business with for this energy drink. But it's so that they can hawk his energy drink on AEW shows.
Now, is it true that the drink is made of horse tranquilizer and boner pills?
No, I haven't heard that. It probably would not be too kind to you because I think it's like a mushroom base.
Yeah, it is, which is like all jokes aside. I was so happy when I heard that. I'm like, great. I never, ever, ever have to try the Ric Flair energy drink.
Because it sounds disgusting. So I probably wouldn't now knowing that it's mushroom based. But if it wasn't, there would be that morbid curiosity of like, I got to try the Ric Flair energy drink. But
right.
I find mushrooms disgusting and they will hurt you. So
I heard a lot of women in North Carolina in the 80s said that too, and then they didn't know where they woke up the next morning. But
that's fair. So yeah, that was it. It was like, oh, okay. I don't know. I think he was doing something pre-AD. This is before he was doing something with the Blue Jackets, I think. With it too. He's been out and about hawking this stuff for quite a while. I think about 6 months. I want to say is when at first I'm like, oh, Ric Flair's got an energy drink, huh? That's interesting. So
you buy a 4-pack of the Ric Flair energy drink, then you buy an ounce of the Ric Flair weed from your local dispensary, and then it balances yourself out, and you feel like you're on the road 300 days a year in the NWA territory. It's a great marketing move by him.
Oh yeah, he does have a strand of weed, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got the upper and then he's got the downer.
Oh. Is one of the energy drinks kamikaze flavored?
If not, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. And yeah. So yeah, I saw that today, and apparently they pitched a deal. They tried pitching to WWE.
Yeah, and Vince was like, "Get the hell out of
They
here."
they left him on red basically, and
Yeah.
so he's like, "Hey Tony, I think it's safe to bring me in now." Tony's like, "Sure. Let me fire off some tweets about Vince McMahon, and then we'll sign you up."
Yeah, like it's I don't know. It's really disappointment's the only word that comes to mind with signing Flair. Not just because it's Ric Flair, but it's another and I it's another old guy that is going to be getting time on TV week after week because you don't bring Ric Flair in not to use him if you're AEW.
Right. Yeah, no,
So he'll have his weekly, even if it's 90 seconds a week, that's 90 seconds that, Daniel Garcia isn't getting, Sammy Guevara is not getting.
Right. He wasn't on this week, was he? I saw Sting and Darby were, but I don't know if Flair was.
I didn't see him, no.
Okay. So, but yeah, it was just the whole thing's just weird. But I'm like I really hope someone has the wherewithal on whenever his next media call is, probably before Full Gear. I hope someone asks him like, "Hey, you're pretty
where do you get off
pretty froggy on social media talking about Vince and now you bring in Ric Flair, what gives here?" So, but we'll see. So yeah, that's that. And I guess when we're talking about unfortunate wrestling things, Crown Jewel's on Saturday.
Go on.
No, I just wanted to run down their card. It actually is it's a decent card.
Sure.
I'm gonna be by myself, so I probably will end up watching it. But we've got John Cena versus Solo Sikoa. Cena's been making a big deal about when the last time he won a singles match was. So he probably will win, but I don't know if you really want to have Solo taking another loss. So we'll see. Cody Rhodes is, and his bum ankle is taking on Damian Priest. So I think Cody's going to win that. We've got women's title, the WWE women's title, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. I think Io's got to retain, especially if it sounds like, Kyrie's coming back. You could do something with them. Like Bianca had it for like a year or whatever it was. Like I think, she could probably be due to have some time away from the title. But then again, in February, I think, is when her and Montez's reality show starts on Hulu. So maybe they want to have the belt on her when that starts. But we'll see. We have the U.S. title match between Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. And as we talked about last week, I'm a big advocate for Logan Paul winning that match.
Yep.
Especially because I think a match between him and a loser of one of the other matches on the show for that title would be would be pretty good stuff. There's a 5-way for the Women's World Championship between Rhea, obviously the champion, and Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Nia Jax, and Raquel Rodriguez.
Holy hell.
Yeah. This will be the worst match on the show. But Rhea should retain. And then we got the World Heavyweight Championship with Seth Rollins defending against Drew McIntyre. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think they've done a really good job with this feud. Drew's kind of on this borderline. He's not really a heel, but he's been bitching a lot. But he's like, has a point. Like he's been like one of the ones who can't get over, is not cool with Jay Uso being on Raw because of
right.
The bloodline costing him the title at Clash at the Castle last year, 2 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
And so, and he's like always bringing it up, and at one point during this build, Rollins is like, "Man, just get over it."
Right.
And then I guess this week I didn't see Raw this week because I just had so much going on this week. But
there was more important television Monday night.
Yeah, that's true. There was. Yeah, that's duh. Yeah, that's what I was doing Monday night. They ran a video package of Drew talking about winning the title. How his moment was in front of nobody because of COVID, and then Rollins later in the night was like, "Dude, COVID sucks for everybody, not just you." Basically. So yeah, I like this. I think Rollins is going to retain because Drew hasn't re-signed yet. I think if Drew had re-signed, I would put the title on Drew, but I think Seth is going to retain here. And then probably the main event, we've got LA Knight taking on Roman Reigns for the Universal title, getting his big opportunity.
Yeah. I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah. Roman retains, but
yeah, and it'll be LOL Roman retains because the bloodline interfered, and then LA Knight will join the laundry list of people who have a bitch about the bloodline.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't do that to you out loud. I didn't see SmackDown either this week, but I saw parts of the contract signing. It looked like that was pretty good stuff, actually. The contract signing between those two, with him interrupting Roman's entrance and taking the seat at the head of the table, and was like, "Nah, I'm not like everyone else. I'm not intimidated by you." So yeah, hopefully it's a good match.
Yeah, I'm not. I won't see it one way or another, but I wouldn't get my hopes up.
Right. So,
and especially with this, I guess Roman's not working Survivor Series now, so
that is the word on the street.
He'll be mailing this in. He doesn't have to. Him just showing up in Saudi Arabia is going to get a reaction. Mm-hmm. He can work his C-Town match and let LA Knight do his little gimmick, and that'll make people think it was a good match.
Right. Yeah. So. All right, that's that. Is there anything else wrestling related you want to touch on before we move on?
No, I got nothing.
All right. Well, as we discussed, there was something more pressing matters on Monday. The Lions were on Monday Night Football. Matt was at the game,
Yes,
but
I was.
if you talk to anyone, the season's over now. So whoop-de-doo. So how was the game, Matt? We'll start there.
The game was man, that place was it was electric. It like there were a few times where I missed plays on the field because I got caught up looking at the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
They had those light up. I
Yeah.
know you could see them. And they were going throughout the game, and it was just such a cool sight. And it was like taking in the moment of like, man, my team finally feels legit. Like this feels like the real deal. It was as far as the game itself, it was a frustrating game for me. Like I feel like we should beat the Raiders by 25 points,
Mm-hmm.
30 points. I mean, they were they were all over them. But every time they needed to just finish the deal, they couldn't get in the end zone, kicking too many field goals, turnovers. It was just like, again, you've talked about it for weeks. We still haven't played a complete game.
Yeah, and that's encourage. Like as frustrating as it is, it's also encouraging because like we're 6-2. We haven't played a complete game in all three phases through for a whole 60 minutes. It feels like so. It was good for Patterson though. As frustrating as it was to sell his field goals, and he did miss one, but it was good to see to see him knock a few through because he's very, and you can tell MCDC doesn't really trust the kicker.
Right,
game
he doesn't have a
lot.
kicker. He knows it. He doesn't have a kicker. He knows.
It was good at least for him to get out there and knock a few through to help with his confidence in case he is needed at some point here down the line. But yeah, I agree. It was a little like, come on. They let them hang around, but at the end of the day, they still won by double digits. They covered, right? Good teams win, great teams cover. Ain't that the saying? So.
Well, and I mean, let's not dismiss. They played a great Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs arrived. It's only one game. We don't know that he's gonna have any more games like that. But he looks more and more confident in the run game now that he's had a couple weeks of like you're the guy who's getting the majority of the carries. It looks like, hate to be cliche, but the game looks like it's slowing down for him. He's following his blocks a little better, and he's recognizing like when he needs to explode instead of getting the ball and immediately holding down the turbo button like it's Madden.
Right.
And you can see, especially in the third and fourth quarter, Monday, he was just like what he was doing was wearing the other teams down. They were tired of chasing him around, and he was, he had a couple big plays there in the second half where he broke away from the group.
Not the touchdown run, the one, I think it was the one run right before Goff threw the pick. But there was one where he bounced off like three guys in the middle of the field and might have even done like a spin and gained like 25 yards or something stupid like that.
Yeah, he started out on outside the left hash, and by the end of the play, he was running out of bounds on the right sideline.
Yeah. So,
well, and we got to acknowledge the defense too. I mean, they held an NFL team to what was it, 157 total yards of offense?
Yeah, I think didn't Gibbs have more yards than
he did.
The Raiders did as a team?
Right. So. The Raiders had one drive all game where they moved the ball with any sort of consistency. Now, part of that was Jimmy G is a garbage quarterback and missed Devontae 3 or 4 times where Adams was open. The Joseph interception, if he just throws the ball deeper, it's a touchdown. He's short-armed. But I mean, the defense showed up again. And I know what we're about to get into is going to revolve around the defense. But hey, you hold an NFL team to under 200 yards of offense, you're doing something right.
Yeah. The only reason why they got 14 points is because of the pick six. So,
right.
Yeah, McNeil had a great game. Anzalone, man, like he's a guy that now I'm sounding like Collinsworth. Now here's a guy. No, but like he's stepped up so much this year. Like when he first came in, it was like, whatever. Like I can't wait till they replace this guy. And now it's like they had a whole like section of people dressed as him.
The Fanzalonis.
The Fanzalonis, yeah. Like he's been balling out this year.
To me, he's the leader on the defense.
Yeah.
He is the guy who the play call goes into.
Yeah.
And so he's already captain, but he's the actual, like, he's the one that's holding it all together. He set the tone on the first drive of the game when he chased down Garoppolo on that it was like a 3rd and 8. He chased him down and didn't take a bad penalty and didn't go low too early, and then of course he had 2 sacks later in the game. I was kind of, when they brought him back, I was kind of like, well, didn't we just, like, aren't we drafting a bunch of linebackers? Like, what's the point of drafting these linebackers if we're just going to keep this guy in who isn't, he doesn't appear to be that essential. And it turns out he's the man. Whatever they're doing with him right now is working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was that series that sealed the game where it was like 3 straight sacks. It was like It was McNeil. It was him, McNeil, and then him again, right? That how it went. So
yeah, that's about the time I started yelling so loud my head started to pulsate.
Nice. So they get another nice dub on national television.
And at 5 in a row, 4 in a row.
At least 4. It's 4. Yeah.
Yeah, because they Green Bay, Kansas City, Green Bay again.
Yeah, because the one before that was Thanksgiving and they lost,
which they should have won, but whatever.
Yeah, it happens. So yeah, that was Monday, and then Tuesday the season ended.
Shut up.
I'm just saying. That's all anyone's talking about. Oh my God, the sky's falling. They didn't trade for a defensive player. Go on.
No, sir.
No.
You said you were going to yell at me.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear what you have to say.
No, but I want you to go first because I want you to go and then I'm going to hit you with some truth.
Okay. So before we get started, I never said the season was over. First of all. Second of all, in the grand scheme of things, big picture, as we talked about, winning the division is the ultimate expectation. Anything after that is icing on the cake. Agreed?
Agreed.
What they did on Tuesday was a loser's mentality to this season. They are 6-2 at the bye. They have a legit shot to win the number 1 seed in the NFC. Everyone around them is loading up, trying to get better to go to that spot. And the Lions stood pat because they have a plan for the future that is so stringent that a 3rd round pick could not be separated from to go get a player that would have made them a better team. Regardless of whether you think he's going to be here next year or he's a rental, he made your team better in an area where you need to get better. By not entertaining that idea, by not going out and doing that, and letting one of the teams you're going to be competing against get that same player to make them that much better, you have told me you don't think you can get it done this year. There's no other reason to suggest that he can't come in. The culture. We don't want to mess with the culture. How do you know he's going to mess with the culture? He's not on your team. And if he comes in and is such a culture problem that, hey, it's just not working out, the guys don't like him, he doesn't listen to coaching, guess what? Cut his ass. It still only cost you a 3rd round pick. And don't tell me that 3rd round picks are so valuable that you can't part with them when you have 3 players that have been drafted in the Brad Holmes era in the 2nd or 3rd round on the defensive line who contribute absolutely nothing to your football team right now. Those players could be cut tomorrow and you'd be in the same spot you are right now. You could have traded a third-round pick that you don't know. He might become another great player, but he could also become another Josh Pascal. And then you missed out on Chase Young, who will make your team better. He is a proven NFL stud on the defensive line. They didn't do it. Great. When he plays, you can say that about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra is great when he's on the field, but he misses a game or two every year. Like, you can't play in this world of like, well, he might get injured. You never know. Okay. Do you want me to keep going, or do you have a rebuttal so that's just my stupid voice for 8 minutes?
Yeah, I do have a rebuttal. First of all, yes, mission number 1 is win the division. And
they've already done that. The division's over.
They'll be able to sleepwalk.
It's over. Okay. It's over. The division is over.
Unless Jared Goff dies in the next game, then there might be an issue. But yes.
Which is a point I'm going to get to in a minute anyway. Go ahead.
Okay. So these teams that you're talking about, San Francisco didn't make that move because of you, because of us. They made that move because they're in a dogfight for their division with Seattle.
Right.
So
why would you want a team that's in a dogfight for not just their division, but for your spot in the conference? Why would you want them to be able to get a player to get themselves better and not want that player for yourself when you need a player at that position?
Second of all, it wasn't just any third-round pick that San Francisco gave up. It's a compensatory pick that they got because one of their minority coaches got hired someplace else. And if they don't re-sign Chase Young, they get that pick back. That's
great.
Okay.
It's still a third-round pick. It doesn't matter.
It does matter because it's not. And this is the loser mentality. Is everyone's acting like if we don't get this done this year, we're not going to be back here. That's the real loser mentality. If you want to know the truth, we're gonna lose Ben Johnson. Oh, the schedule is going to be so much harder next year. No, they're building something sustainable so that we are here in this position year after year after year. And and even if they don't use that third round pick for a player, what is Brad Holmes done in he's packages these picks to move up to get players. And
how's that working out for Jamison Williams?
He hasn't even played a season yet. Jesus fucking Christ.
But every time he's on the field, he has more drops than receptions. He can't catch the football. It's like,
and he hasn't
I don't want to get on the
a full season. Jesus Christ.
If you're in the NFL, you're in the NFL. You don't need a full season's worth of reps to catch a football. You need the reps to learn the routes, to learn the playbook, to learn the breaks, to learn the timing. When the ball is hitting you in the hands and you're dropping it, that's a problem. But I don't want to talk about J-Mo. Get back to your draft point.
I'm just saying, like,
that he likes to trade up.
Yeah,
that it's another chip for him to trade up.
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's my question then. Since everyone's so concerned on your side of the argument about this plan for the future, right? The window is wide. This is the start of our window, right? What happens if Brad Holmes goes to Jared Goff's agent this offseason and says, hey, we'd like to negotiate an extension. And Jared Goff goes, yeah, well, I want the largest contract in the league. And the Lions go, no one's going to give you that. And then San Francisco rings him up and goes, hey, Jared, we need a quarterback. We need a quarterback to win this thing because Brock Purdy ain't cutting it. And tell me Jared Goff and Kyle Shanahan's system doesn't make sense. Well, but forget it. What if Jared just says, no, I don't want to stay here. I love what you've done. I love that I've been able to rebuild my career here, but I don't want to stay here because he is not locked in. So you can't say that the window is open.
He's got a whole other year left on his deal.
Great. That's 1 year. That's 1 year. So if in this scenario that he doesn't want to come back, you've got the rest of this season and next season. Now, how ridiculous does it look that you didn't want to use a third-round pick to go get a player that could help you win because the window may have just opened, but with Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago falling flat on their faces, the division isn't even a question. You need to start looking at the opportunity to win the whole damn thing. Now, I understand maybe they don't think they've got the horses to get it done. That's fine, but it is a loser's mentality to not be like, we have a real shot at this. Let's stand pat. You and I have watched the Yankees do this for years now, where they don't go get the guy that will make them better. They go get the guy that makes sense for their financials and their analytics, and it bites them in the ass every year. How many years did the Red Wings stand pat when they're like, hey, we got a chance to win this thing. Let's go get a dog. Because you don't know what a future third round pick is going to turn into. Yeah, he could turn into TJ Watt, but he could also turn into name any of the millions of picks Matt Millen wasted, and Martin Mayhew and Bob Quinn.
But Brad Holmes isn't any, like, I just don't like, and that's my other point. Like, we're in year 3 of this, and we're already at this point. We're way ahead of schedule. Like, I don't understand why all of a sudden it's like hit the panic button. Like,
no, I'm not panicked. They still, I said at the beginning, they're going to win the division. They've got a shot at the number 1 seed. It's frustrating to see them not take the risk when it's a very low risk move. That was my whole thing. You weren't giving up any equity that is going to be instantaneously helpful to your team next year. Who cares if you can't re-sign Chase Young? I'm not worried about the next 2 years, 34 regular season games. I'm worried about the next 3 to 4 games this January and February, because I know I'm in the tournament at this point.
And also lost in all the, they've got James Houston will be back probably later this month, beginning of next month.
James Houston's only played 8 games in his NFL career. How do you know he's going to keep it up?
Because in those 8 games, he was a dog.
Oh, okay. Well, in 13 games at Alabama, Jameis Williams was the Heisman candidate. Because that's all I hear from the people that want to pretend like this kid. You just got to give him time. You don't have time to wait for a first-round pick to figure it out on the go. He can't do the essential function of the job of wide receiver, which is to catch the ball.
I saw like the best receiver, one of the top 5 receivers in football, drop a wide open pass on Monday too. I guess Devontae Adams isn't any good either.
Sure, because that's exactly what I was saying.
I'm just saying, like, I just don't get this this whole like, oh my god, we got to do it this year thing. They're good. The only reason why you make that move again, and I'll go back to this. The only reason why San Francisco made that move is because they're gonna need to battle. They're not even in the lead of their division right now. They're trying to, and Philly, the move getting Byard before the deadline. You know, they're only a game up on Dallas, and they play each other this week. Those 3 or 4 teams, they have battles with each other just to win the division, to get a home playoff game.
And
you
what
don't have
teams
that issue.
Yeah, but what teams do you think we're going to be playing in the playoffs that you're going to need those dogs for? Every one of those teams you just named. Philly had to get better because Dallas is chasing them. San Fran had to get better because they're chasing Seattle. All of those teams are teams we're going to have to play at least 3 of those teams if we're going to, or 2 of those teams if we're going to win the whole damn thing. You're going to have to go through those teams to begin with. So why are you not trying to? That's who you're in the arms race with at this point. I agree. If this were a season where we were a game up on the Packers and Jordan Love was looking, or hell, if Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt, right? And they're 5-3 instead of 4-4, and we're 6-2. Hey, we haven't sewn this thing up yet. This division is locked down. They knew that going into the deadline Tuesday.
But I think
that's where you shift your mentality to who are we competing against in January and February, because we need to be good enough to beat them.
But actually, if this division wasn't locked down, I would be on your side, because then you need to make sure you get that home playoff. If everyone beats, like with the schedules that everyone else has compared to you, they could end up with the number 1 seed regardless, which means everyone's going to have to come through here regardless, whether they've got Chase Young or not. If they got to come through here, I don't care. I don't care if they got Chase Young. I don't care who they have.
Okay, you say that until they can't get a pass rush, and then they got to start sending 5 and 6 guys, and Jalen Hurts starts carving them up. Because that's what happened 2 weeks ago against Baltimore. They sent the blitz, and Lamar started going, and their secondary, they didn't have enough help in the secondary at that point to cover all the different routes.
So you're
and they
saying if we had Chase Young for that game, that makes up for 30 points and we beat Baltimore? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm not saying they're going to get blown out like that, but I'm saying when you can't get pressure on the quarterback and then you eventually have to just start sending the blitz all the time, that's where teams start to take advantage of you. And the Lions aren't good enough yet in their secondary, especially in their linebacker play, to be able to handle man-to-man coverage all over the field. Okay. Chase Young on the line lets you have extra people in the secondary. They can put some pressure on the quarterback, and then they don't have to worry so much about one-on-one coverage or too high and 3 man-to-man down below.
I guess we'll see.
Look, the end of the day, they're gonna make the playoffs. This is gonna be so much fun.
Well, you wouldn't, the next 9 people, not just you, the way other people were acting, you wouldn't think that way.
Because looking down the road, you saw if you're realistic about your team, you saw an opportunity to hey, we could add a guy that really puts us in to me would have made us the front runners for the entire conference. And with the way Kansas City is struggling, it could make us the actual best team in football. They've got lightning in a bottle right now.
See, I don't think Chase Young did that.
Okay. But the crux of my argument is it would have cost you nothing to find out. Because again, I don't value a third round pick who may never.
But they do, obviously.
Great. And that's where my frustration comes in. But it doesn't mean I think the season's over. It's just frustrating as a fan to not see them take that chance. And that's why I say I think it's a loser mentality. Because they're worried about what we could do in the future with that pick as opposed to what they could have done with it right now when they're in the middle of a unbelievable opportunity in my eyes.
I think people just aren't used to the possibility of a perennial good teams year in, year out, and they think that, oh well, this is year we good, so we got to do it now.
See, I would agree if it was well, you got to sign Chase Young and you got to sign him to, or you got to trade for him and sign him to an extension, or you got to trade a piece to somebody, but you were just acquiring it. You were just getting him for air, something that doesn't. It's not physical. It's not tangible. You were just giving away something that you don't know what it. Like I said, it could be TJ Watt, but it could also be Tease Tabor. Right now, you have an opportunity. And I hate to keep going back to that stuff, but it's frustrating that they didn't take the chance. It doesn't mean the season's over. It doesn't mean that I'm mad at Brett Holmes and I don't think he's a qualified general manager and Dan Campbell's it's none of that stuff. But it's frustrating that they didn't make a move when everyone around them got better.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how it pans out. But I'm still pumped for the rest of the season.
I am too. It's not a thing where I'm season's over, this is gonna suck. But it was a clear message. We don't think we're gonna get it done this year, and we're not willing to sacrifice the future. And in the back of my mind, the whole reason why it's well, they got to win the division first to really be on track for something here, is because you got to get into the tournament. Well, you want to get into the tournament because at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, right? None of us want to sit here in 5 years and talk about, hasn't this run of 5 straight NFC North Division championships been great? We even played in 2 NFC title games. Wasn't that fun? Like, no, we want the big one. And I really think this season they have. I don't think people understand how good of a chance they have of getting to the Super Bowl right now.
I agree, and I don't think what they did or didn't do like changes that a whole lot. Like I just don't. Because they were more than a player away. If you think that the goal should have been Super Bowl, this isn't the '04 Pistons. They're more than a player away.
They got Donovan Peoples-Jones, and if you would have added a stud defensive lineman, that handled 2 of the 3 positions you needed a player at. And I would argue if you have Chase Young helping your defensive line get pressure, you don't need as much help in your secondary because as the Giants proved against the Patriots twice, if you can pressure the quarterback, you don't have to have all pro defensive backs to win the big one. They decided that they were more committed to the future. Okay, that's fine. But I'm always going to wonder in the back of my head, like, what if? What if they would have went and just took a shot at it?
Yeah. Time will tell.
Right.
So.
I thought you were going to yell at me.
Yeah. Yell was a strong word. But I was fired up all week about it because I was just like, oh God, people are so stupid.
Yeah, I mean the people that were saying, well, it proves they're not serious about winning. Like that's a ridiculous argument. Like they clearly are serious about winning. Like they've turned this. They had nothing when this thing started, and they've built a pretty solid roster so far. Like I'm not going to
really
say
turned this around in a year and a half because you think of the second half of last season and so far, like it took them a year and a half to turn this thing around with as destitute as this franchise was when this regime took over.
Right.
And so I guess looking at that, and then I don't know, it just seemed if you paid attention at all, like I guess that was my other thing is like I was shocked that people were shocked because if you paid attention at all in lead up, like they didn't come right out and say, hey, we're not going to make any moves, but it was pretty clear that unless it was like a something for like something stupid, you know, like a 6th round pick in 2 years like they got for DPJ, you know, that they weren't going to do it. That's why I texted you earlier that day. I'm like, if it's in the first a pick in the first 2 days of the draft, if that's the cost, I don't think they're going to make a move. So, but we'll see. But you got anything else?
Nope.
All right. We'll be back next week. Or
yeah, I think we will.
Will
right?
we not be back next week? Maybe.
I think so.
Okay. As far as I know.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I'm good. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Covering
no football to talk about.
Yeah, no. Lions will be on a bye this week. I'm sure we'll figure something to talk about. Oh, did you see those I mean they still suck, but did you see those city edition Pistons unis? The Bad Boys inspired ones?
Yeah.
Those are pretty sweet.
I'm not a fan of that whole concept.
I'm not either, but those ones are pretty sweet.
I think they're better than a lot of them, but it's pretty lame. It's just really lame.
Yeah. It got me. I'm like, oh yeah. That's the kind of stuff I like.
I want the Lions to bring back the 90s, their 90s uniforms so bad, but
yeah. Those blue helmets look awesome on TV.
Oh my god, that blue helmet. If they would just let them wear it with the all whites, oh, that'd be so
So
slick.
I think if they would have if they would go if they would went blue helmet, gray jersey, and blue pants, I think that would have been perfect.
I don't know. They got to it's the pants that are the problem in the gray
They
because
are.
it's just a solid. It just looks like a slab of concrete.
Yeah, I think
They got to put some
Ben
sort of
calls
design
them.
on there.
Ben calls them the pajamas. Ben Raven does on his because I listen to the.
Oh,
I listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
the.
yeah.
Yeah, he always calls those the pajama uniforms.
Pajama bottoms, yeah.
The all grays. But that was weird with them in the all grays, and then the Raiders were wearing white and silver, and like it was a weird. It's a good thing they had the blue helmets for that game because otherwise it would have been a lot of muted colors.
Yeah, like what the hell is going on here? Yeah. Well, the stadium was lit up nice though too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing stuff on the ceiling. They were doing the overhead shots of the stadium, and there was stuff projected on the ceiling.
Yeah, everyone saw the clip of the inside doing the "We Will Rock You." They only did that like twice throughout the whole game. They should have been doing stuff like that throughout the whole night instead of like, here's the Bud Light beer can race.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. I didn't even tell you this. Where I was sitting, I could look up and I could see Troy Aikman and Joe Buck calling the game. They were like right over my shoulder.
Oh, nice.
Like I got a little picture of them.
Nice.
I wanted like who I was there with is he likes to have a beverage or two.
Right.
So he had a bunch of beer cans at his feet, and I kept trying to get him to throw a can up at Troy Aikman, but he wouldn't do it.
Hey Troy, has anybody told you look like white Jay-Z?
Yeah, I didn't mention this earlier, but there were quite a few people dressed up for Halloween. I saw multiple Macho Man, Randy Savage costumes. Saw $1 Million Man one. I think my favorite costume, someone was dressed up like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and he had a newspaper that said Lions win NFC North, and it was dated for like December of this year. I was like, that, bravo, sir, bravo.
Awesome. Did you bump into Jack Harlow?
Who?
That rapper, Jack Harlow. Apparently,
Who?
he was at the game and he's gonna perform at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, he was in White Man Can't Jump, right?
The new one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I literally don't know any of his music, but I knew he was in that movie. I don't know his
music either, but I see people talk about him a lot. So
I see people like ICP fans, or
no, I see on the platform formerly known as Twitter, the people who talk about hip hop music on there talk about him usually in a negative sense.
Sure,
but in one of the Twilight doofuses was there too.
Yeah, Taylor Lautner.
Yeah,
he's from like Grand Rapids or something like that. He's a pretty he's been like,
I forgot
he's been hashtagging. Yeah, he's been hashtagging like One Pride for 4 or 5 years now. Like he's a legit fan.
Okay, all right. Because I was like, that's random, but I totally forgot he was from the state.
Yeah. Who else was there? Barry was there. Calvin was there. Right. Well, obviously they had a whole bunch of players for the Lomas Brown retirement. Governor Whitmer was there. Yeah, I didn't see anyone else celebrity wise.
Very cool. Very cool.
And hey, Josh McDaniels' last game in the NFL, right?
That's right. As a head coach, I'm sure he'll get another crack at a coordinator job, but I think he's done as a head coach for sure. Nice to be on the other side of that.
Yeah. What a feeling. What a. Not used to that around here.
I got a feeling that might not be the last one.
Yeah. Especially last week of the season.
Well, that I was thinking more of our first game back after the bye. Like it might.
Yeah.
I hope the Chargers beat the Jets because I feel like if they don't beat the Jets, it might happen then. And then there's always that chance for the, that galvanizing the team when they fire the coach. And
Yeah.
so hopefully the Chargers beat the Jets barely, where it's still not a good game, but they come out with the W, and then we crush the Chargers when we come back from bye with like 50,000 Lions fans in SoFi Stadium because
Right.
there's no such thing as a Chargers fan out there. And then Brandon Staley gets fired.
Booted.
And then I could very much like if it doesn't happen before, like if things continue to go in the shitter for the Packers and they come in and get annihilated on national TV again.
Yeah,
because they won't fire him.
Even...
Like they won't fire him the week before because of the short week, but
right.
So yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And then hey, Denver's got to come to town too.
Denver's turning it around.
Oh sure. Patrick Mahomes had the flu, and you squeaked out a win, and suddenly, he's turning it around.
2 in a row, man. They beat the Packers.
Yeah.
Ended the streak against the Chiefs. They're back, baby.
Let Russ go. Jesus Christ. All right, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here. Yeah, follow the show account at KM Wrestling Pod. Follow me at Ibanez Chris. musicandmoonsaults.com. Leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, see you.